Everyone, a deep shift. We are in episode 4. Today, my guest is Brandon Harper. Brandon is also known as Younification on Instagram. As a member of the family of light, Brandon has awakened to his purpose as an author, ascension guide, and channeler of source energy for anchoring the love frequency into the new earth. He's here to assist humanity in remembering who they truly are. Brandon, welcome to Deep Shift. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I've been following your journey for a while, and I really started to notice your account during the global meditation that happened.
Yeah.
Very shortly after this lockdown, and everyone in the world kind of wanted something. They wanted something to like kind of anchor in some sort of stability.
Yeah.
That meditation was powerful. That was 4/4.
Yeah, totally was.
Yeah. So, man, there is so much to talk about. So you're a channeler, yeah?
Yeah, so I perform a unique kind of channeling called spirit writing or automatic writing, where essentially channeling is basically allowing yourself to receive messages to the heart without distorting the messages with any mental influence. So everyone is actually always channeling. We're always channeling, but the only difference is that we let our beliefs get in the way of the messages that we receive on a constant basis. So what automatic writing is essentially just tuning into your heart and literally just writing whatever comes through, not even paying attention with any mental influence. So that's what I perform. It's definitely a lesser advanced, I guess you could say, form of channeling, but it's what works best for me because I'm very passionate about writing.
So this is something that really anybody could do.
Anybody can do this, yeah. And that's why I love promoting this, because it's so easy. Yeah.
And so how could someone do it if they wanted to? They just tune into their heart, they start just writing whatever comes?
Yes, exactly.
And does it start with a question, or is it just literally tuning into whatever arises?
I would recommend whatever arises. You can ask questions as well. It really depends on what, I don't ask questions. I just feel myself in that state. I'm like, hey, I need to write. And I start writing. And then all my posts are spontaneous. They're not really ever planned. That happens sometimes, but almost always the posts that I make are created right after I channel.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So how would you describe channeling for someone who maybe doesn't know what it is or isn't yet familiar?
Yeah, so channeling is simply just connecting to source energies. So it can be your higher self. I would say higher self is the most accurate way of describing it, because higher self is what describes everything. Higher self is literally all of us. You could say it's like a higher social memory complex or a group consciousness, but for everyone. That's what I have received that the higher self is. Or you could say highest self if you wish. If you want to say higher self, if you have your own higher self, you could say highest self. So yeah, the channeling is simply allowing yourself to receive messages from source energy, whether it be a group consciousness, say the Pleiadian councils, or any Arcturian councils, or the Federation as a whole. Usually when it's the Federation, it will be some sort of council that's coming through. Sometimes I'm not completely aware of the energy that comes through, but then other times, because I'm so connected with Pleiadian energies, you can I can completely tell. I just know. It's a feeling kind of thing. I can know when it's a Pleiadian energy.
So there's some really fun things that you just mentioned about Pleiadian energies, councils. So these are extraterrestrial races.
Yeah.
For people who are unfamiliar, that you can essentially channel in a being that is not on Earth.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're living somewhere off in space or maybe another dimension, right?
Yes, a lot of them are in ships. There certainly are motherships that
Sweet.
exist over Earth that we're not being told about. Yeah, there's
so kind of watching.
What's that?
Yeah, the depth of it is fascinating, and I just want people who maybe are new to it, because like you and I seem very familiar with this. I've researched a lot, read a lot of books on channeling, and I see this as a mental technology that is an untapped resource that the world is slowly opening up to. But
Yeah.
I would say like 99.9% of the world has never heard of it and probably thinks it's just the craziest thing ever if all of a sudden they heard that you could channel it an ET.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'll make this interesting. Whenever you're doing something that you're following your passion, say you're an actor, for example. Jim Carrey is a really good example of channeling. That's what he does. He channels characters, and it's because he's passionate about it. Anyone does this. I guarantee that any of us can think of a time that we were in a state where, say we were talking or doing something, and we just didn't have to put any mental effort into it whatsoever, and it just came about. Like, you just did it, and then you look back and you say, like, I don't know how I did that. Like, it just happened. Yeah, so everyone channels. We're just not completely aware of it when we're doing it sometimes. And yeah, it's really, a lot of it just comes down to passion. That's the most common way that we channel.
It's almost like the state of being that I personally want all the time. Like,
Yes.
I always want to be in the flow. I always want to just exist from my heart and be completely in a channeled state. And I just started working with a coach, and what she's doing is she's helping me tune into just that, being in a channeled state all the time, because I often will step into like thoughts. Well, I'll overthink things, and before I say something, I'll overthink it. And there are moments where I'm in a complete channeled state, and I'm like on top of the world, and I'm just like on it, on it, and I want to be in that all the time. And so would you say that that state is like a direct channel with the highest self, your higher self?
Do you refer to it as flow?
Yeah.
Like flow states? This is pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, in psychology, flow states are like almost identical to this. Yeah.
So then let's get back into ETs. So within this flow state, when you can connect to your higher self, kind of the you that is beyond all of this, in a similar state as that, you can also connect with, and would these beings be separate from you, or perhaps other versions of yourself just living a Pleiadian life or an ET life?
Yes, that's what we don't understand, is that all beings, whether it be the Zeta Reticuli, like the Greys, whether it be Arcturian, whether it be reptilians, everyone is another version of yourself. And this is what you'll often you'll hear from a lot of group consciousnesses or beings that you're channeling, is that they don't see a difference like between you or anyone else in humanity. Or like sometimes you'll even get that like between themselves, but usually they don't go that deep right away. But yes, that's essentially what it is. These are alternate versions of you that you're connecting with. And usually like you could think of it as future versions of you.
I literally just heard that from a friend like 2 days ago. And he's like, he's like, ETs, he was saying, he's like, ETs don't exist. They're just future versions of you that exist. Like, oh, that's a very fascinating way to put it. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
So as you connect with these other forms of consciousness, or yourself in the future, what sort of, I mean, right now it's like we're going through such a crazy, fascinating time. A lot of your posts are about what's going on right now. What's the general consensus
about what's happening right now?
Yeah.
So we are in an area of space that we've never been in before. Like, we're traversing an area in space that is filled with a lot of cosmically radiated energy, and that energy is being received by us. And essentially what's happening right now is we have DNA that is essentially going through a process of producing more light in our bodies. So we are like the Earth right now, since 2012, it has been like, it's shifted into fourth density. Right now I'm going to refer into densities because like when I talk about dimensions, like 1 to 12 dimensions, I'm not completely familiar with the whole concept as of yet. So that's why I'm going to refer to densities, like as in, if any of you are familiar with the law of one, that's what I'll refer to right now. So the planet has been existing in third density, but since 2012, we have, like, the planet as a whole shifted to fourth density. And we are essentially, all of us are in that process of shifting into fourth density avatars, where essentially, rather than the third density body of being purely chemical, we're shifting to bodies that are going to be partially chemical and partially light. So anything above like fourth density would be like a complete light body, like fifth density and higher. That's a light body. We are changing genetically to have bodies that are partially light and chemical. So it's essentially us, like, learning how to embrace our multidimensionality.
And do you see this happening on a physical level? And is it within a single lifetime, or is this more of an incarnation and you reappear with a light body? That's been my question through all this.
No, this is happening in this lifetime that we're all in right now. Yes. So
nice. Party.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially what we're doing is, we hear Mother Earth a lot, but one thing that I would like to introduce is the fact that we, like, rather than us being the children, we are actually the parents. Like, we are birthing Mother Earth. Like, she is ready to be conceived. Like, she's ready, but we're in that process where we have to make that collective agreement to do this. So around the year, from what I'm understanding, it could be earlier, but I believe it's around the year 2029 or 2030, we're going to be experiencing what is known as the Great Solar Flash. So what's happening right now is we're kind of in the prerequisite stage where the Earth is releasing anyone who is not choosing to participate in the new Earth. So this is kind of what's happening with the whole pandemic right now, is people that are leaving are people that have we have to be very clear about this, is that everyone that's leaving the planet right now has chosen to leave. And this is, no death ever happens by accident. Like, it's like, you, for example, when we're in dream states, we oftentimes like make decisions. They're known as like soul contracts, like, kind of things. And we do this before we're born as well, but we'll make decisions in dream states that will essentially create situations for ourselves. So this happens with everything. But like, if someone chooses to die, they will, like, if they weren't initially going to like leave at that time, and they like had planned to essentially come into this lifetime and ascend with everyone else, and they happen to not be there, then they will choose to leave. And what's going to happen, from what I'm aware, is the closer that we get to the Great Solar Flash and the people that are still here that are choosing not to participate, there are we're going to go a little bit deep here.
Sweet.
I've talked a little bit about this, like, throughout some comments, but I haven't actually really made any posts about this. So essentially what's going to happen is, well, what's happening right now is, in secret space programs, there are genetic experiments that are happening where we've essentially figured out how to take samples of DNA and replicate an entire body. Like, we can do this with like organs and certain parts of the body, but we can, like, with that one sample of DNA, we can reproduce an entire body. And we can also make, like, we can do like certain edits and upgrades so that a body can be more suitable for different like environments and different planets. So what will happen is people will essentially, that are not choosing to participate in the new Earth, because by that time, the like, because we're going to be closer to, like, there's going to be a lot of cosmically radiated energy at this point, and anyone that is not essentially, like, their body isn't changing, like they're still in that 3D, they won't be able to live here. So what they'll have to do is they will have to essentially, like, this is what you would call it, you would clone them and bring them off planet to a planet that is also going through the same thing as us in the Pleiades. So that is what will happen to them, and they will have the opportunity to finish their third density, like to complete it on that planet that is also going through a similar experience as we are right now.
Interesting. Do you think that, so those are the people who kind of want to still stay in the third density?
Yes.
They
people
haven't
are
yet
choosing to do that without going into the new Earth. Like, they're not, people that aren't ready for that yet.
And so this could potentially also be people who die on this Earth, and they then will be reincarnated on that planet. Maybe they'll be born on that planet, perhaps.
Yes.
So that could be like another pathway, which is great. I mean, that's just as crazy as being born in a human body on this planet. You know, it's like,
but being actually, like, their consciousness will be transferred into another body, and they'll still, because everything is contained in your DNA. Absolutely everything about us is literally encoded in our DNA, and that's why we can reproduce an entire body. And also, you could take like genetic material from other species as well, and like alter the body so that, like I said, it could exist in a different environment than like we are right now.
Cool. So you've got portion of the population who's like, we're just going to continue the whole like war thing and greed and like money. Like we're going to continue that. We're still down with that. We don't want to leave that quite yet. So they get to do that, which is cool. They can do their own thing. And then, but the other portion of people are like, we want something better. We want to ascend into something more full of, you know, light, love, something that is next level. Let's talk about that. What does that look like? What sort of society is that?
This is going to be, this is what's really exciting, is this is going to be our, like, this is like, by this point, it'll be full disclosure. And we are going to have access to the technologies that are like, we'll have free energy, like the whole Earth is going to be like completely transformed. Like, we'll never be like there's no way that we can exist in the systems that we have right now. And we can all see how this is already starting to collapse. So this will be us, and we'll be able to also like be a part of a greater galactic community. Once we've gotten through this, and the people that are essentially that chose not to participate in it, once it's just us left after the solar flash, essentially that's when that will be able to happen, is when we will actually be able to be face to face with other extraterrestrials and other cosmic beings. And
can't wait for that.
That's what's really exciting about this right now.
Yeah, like this moment happening right now with the pandemic, everyone having to stay inside, it's a whole shift in people's reality. And I just think about like the future, and when spaceships that are here just invisible appear around the planet, that will be another moment very similar to this, where everyone's like, oh my God, life is never going to be the same. And life won't be the same after a bunch of spaceships appear around the planet, and extraterrestrials are in communication. Like literally the Earth is going to be, you can see the ascension process just in that thought alone. That's Very, very exciting. I want to hop into the law of one because you mentioned densities, and I'm sure some people read it, but maybe some people have not yet dove into all that is the law of one, the raw materials.
Yeah.
And that is also another channeled material that was channeled by a group of people in the, I believe, the 80s. And they just, was it a fifth, sixth density consciousness?
They were sixth density. So these beings are equivalent to what is known as blue avians.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like these, they're humanoid beings as well, but they have like blue feathers, like all over them. Like if you can imagine us, it's like all blue feathers and like a avian head, like with like a very small beak. So that's what one of their forms look like. They can also, because they're sixth density, they can also transform their bodies with their consciousness. So they don't have to exist like that. They don't have, because they're both a light, and like because they're a light body, they can produce like kind of like a holographic form so that we could perceive them and like understand them, rather than just like some like energy of light and I'm not exactly sure how that would look. But yeah, so to essentially like allow it to make sense to us who are of a lower density, that's how they would present themselves.
Yeah, because anything above, I mean, even fourth density starts to get just a bit confusing because it's trying to imagine something that doesn't yet exist in our reality. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit out there. But if people are looking for more, the Law of One, it's a book, very interesting book. It is written, it's all just transcribed from these channelings, but it's the language they use is almost like you have to decipher.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. And that's because essentially, like, they have really difficult, like they have quite a difficult time like actually explaining these concepts in like an English like language, which they don't use. Like these beings are telepathic. Like they use, from what I'm aware, they use something like light touch, where they go like this and they send telepathic signals to your mind, and that's how they communicate.
That'd be so much easier.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes I wish I could do that.
Yeah, like no, but that's the thing. We're also working towards that as well. Like everyone is always like, we're all telepathic. Like this is telepathy is a natural form of that is inherent within all energies. So we're always having like telepathic communications as like a society. Like basically, I've explained this before. So based on the frequency that you emit, you locate yourself within one specific version of reality. And that one specific version of reality kind of gets uploaded to the collective consciousness, where telepathic agreement, like mass agreements, occur about the nature of our world. And if like, say if we were able to actually make an agreement about what is happening right now, essentially everyone could ascend. Like we could like skip like all of like what I talked about before, and all of us could ascend. All of us could be a part of the new Earth. That's very non-probable. It's very not probable, but it's possible. And this is something that they've also talked about in the Law of One, is that this is absolutely possible, that we could do this.
So I wonder, like on a mass scale, it might be pretty tough because a lot of people are still in the kind of third density world. But what about like family of light? You know, the conscious people, the conscious community, these people who get it and want to be a part of it. Like, what can we do as a whole to help raise the frequency of the collective?
Essentially, there's many things that we can do right now. Is exploring lucid dreaming is one of the most important things that we can do, because this is where we are going to, like, this is where personal disclosure is going to occur. Like this occurs like through lucid dreaming, like where
personal disclosure meaning
like you have an experience like being opened up to like a cosmic community. Like this is where that will happen, is in your lucid dreams. So this is where we can receive like downloads, and insights about like how to navigate this experience. And yeah, this is something that we'll definitely be diving into on Younification a lot more. This is something that I'm personally only just starting to explore as well. Like, for all you know, like I'm only 19. I'm quite young. Yeah.
You are.
So,
I'm 37.
Yeah.
Yeah. I arrived a little bit before you to help get things ready with this whole internet thing.
Thank you.
It's been fun. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
But I have seen a lot of like teenagers, 20 somethings who are just born conscious. They arrived here like, you know, as volunteers, and they don't need to read a book or, you know, go to a channeling class. They just start doing it.
Yeah. So, see, I was not one of those people. I was quite, since like around, I guess you could say the end, I guess you could say around the beginning of junior high for me. So when I was around like 12, 13 years old, I was beginning to get very unconscious. And by the time this happened all the way from like 12 to 13, like up until 17. And 17 is when I actually had my awakening during a LSD and MDMA experience.
Nice. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. But yeah, before we get into that, yeah, I was quite different. Like, I was quite the troublemaker. This all stems down from like personal traumas and bullying and stuff that I experienced when I was like in like elementary school and junior high and whatnot, which very much changed me. Like, I had to adapt to fit in, or else like I had to completely change myself in order to feel like I belonged in school, because I grew up in a quite difficult environment where like people were pretty hard on you. Like, it's quite interesting. But also at the same time, it's because I was seeing it that way. But yeah, so by the time I was 17, I had an LSD and MDMA experience where I essentially, I guess you could say, I tapped into that unity consciousness for the first time. And I had a friend that was essentially helping me through some stuff. He was showing me like spirit science and like talking about the matrix and all this stuff. And I wasn't really getting it. Like, I didn't, like, none of it really passed through. Like, it was just blocked off by my mind. I had no idea what was going on. Like, I kind of pretended like I knew what was happening. I had no fucking clue. No idea. But yeah, that's when, like, during this experience is when a lot of that stuff started clicking. And I basically, like, I felt like I was reborn into my own body. So I was having all sorts of experiences where I was like smelling colors, and I like everything was like multi-dimensional and like multicolored light. And yeah, this is when I actually had my first telepathic communication with extraterrestrials. So what happened was essentially I was telepathically communicated to go outside. I was instructed to go outside. And I was like, okay, that's weird. That didn't come from me, but okay, I'll do that. So I step outside, and immediately my attention goes to what appears to be a star, like in the sky. It's very bright star in the sky. I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. Momentarily, like moments later, the star like comes down, like zoom, diversifies itself into 3 spaceships that's like hovering, like pretty close to me. Like, not like, this isn't like super close, but like very, like a point in the sky that's quite visible. And yeah, they were just like hanging out there for a moment, and like this was
were they
like,
still
where in the sky were they?
Were they still like dots, almost like stars, or could you make out shape of?
No, I could make out that they were crafts.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Essentially they just like hovered there for a few minutes. They just kind of danced around, like very kind of just hovering there. And I was just like, it was just long enough for me to be like, wow, like this is actually happening. Like this is actually happening. Like they just kind of sent me the message, like we are here, like we exist. And that's all that really happened. And then they just took off.
Yeah. And so like what went through your head in that moment? Because that sounds extravagant.
It was a little bit interesting to process, and especially because I was on psychedelics at the time. I kind of brushed it off a little bit because there was just so much going on. Yeah, so I guess the reason why that happened is because I was in that loving frequency that they were able to connect with me. Like they were able to locate me based on the frequency that I was emitting that was very similar to their own. So that's how this experience came about.
Yeah, I think because I've heard of a lot of people who have had psychedelic and ET experiences at the same time. And yeah, I believe, it is that frequency. Like my friend had an ayahuasca ceremony, and as he was outside looking up at the stars, there were UFOs doing these shapes. And I think it's in those moments we are more open to those experiences, open to the divine, open to this cosmic multidimensional reality. And our star fam up there is like waiting and ready, like, okay, now's the time. He'll be receptive, won't freak out. He's going to see it with love. And I think that's super cool. It makes me wonder if there's a way in which we can enter states like that where we're in our heart space, our heart chakra is just wide open on a more regular basis, just in everyday life, so that more people can have these sorts of experiences, in a sober state of being. Because I've had all the different psychedelic experiences that involved ETs and UFOs, and I've had my own awakening experience that was more of like just sober experience. But I think a lot of people want to have those experiences. Like people are ready.
Oh yeah, people are certainly ready. Like people are seeking this out. Like everyone that is ready is going to seek that out. And the more that we talk about it, like just as a community, the more like people will like find us and like also want to be in that. But the reason why disclosure hasn't happened like on a full level, like the reasons why like spaceships have definitely came down in like very isolated communities, and like this has happened before, but like never like in a place where like in like a huge city or like worldwide, like where like ETs like actually come down and try to commune with us. Like that's not going to happen, because that would infringe upon our free will. Like we haven't collectively made that decision that we want to have that experience. This is telepathic also, like I said before when I talked about mass agreements. So yeah, they're very cautious about infringing upon free will, because that will actually that will cause karma for their group consciousnesses or social memory complexes. This is something that happened in with the Law of One, with Ra, or the Blue Avians that came down, and they delivered their message 3 times to humanity in the past. And each time their message was greatly distorted. And that is still the reason why, like, that's one of the main reasons why they're working with us still. Also because they're like beings that are service to others. So they came from another universe here to be of service to others, to all beings. And yeah, so yeah, there's not much more to say about that, but
yeah, it's wow, there's so much. There is so much. What is do you have a daily practice? Or because you had your experience, you had your profound experience that kind of, it seems like, kind of shifted your life a bit. And now it's like, look at your Instagram and YouTube, like you've got like it seems like your life purpose is focused around helping people through this shift that's taking place, disclosure, being that channel for the higher dimensional beings to be able to speak through you and assist so many people. Like I just see so many people surrounding you who are just intrigued as to what you are putting out there, which is just so cool to see. And I do want to just congratulate you and just give you some praise in that realm, because you're doing such a great job with what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and one thing I need to make very clear is that it's still very much an interactive experience for me, where I am also like figuring out a lot. Like, I don't want to present myself in any way where I feel where it seems like I've got everything figured out, because I don't. I understand quite a lot about what's going on, but I'm still integrating practices that will allow me to commune with ETs on a more personal level than like the indirect messages that are just flowing through and then boom, I got a message. I'm still working on like actually communicating like with them directly. So
nice. And that's a good point to bring up, because this paradigm, the new paradigm, it's guru-less. It's no longer like the 60s, 70s where there's that guru everyone looks up to and it's like, tell us what to do, we need you. Now is a time where there can be social media influencers who help people realize their true self, but it's our guru is within. And I love that you said that. I love that you put it that way, because I can see people looking up to you as almost like a guru, like, tell us more.
Yeah, I don't want to present myself like that whatsoever. That's not what's happening, and I'm going to be very clear about that.
Yeah, which is great, because the new paradigm is that it's all within, and we should all be assisting each other to become the best versions of ourselves, so we can all help each other become that guru for that just brief little blip of moment for someone as they ascend and become that, helper maybe for someone else, or that star shine for someone else.
Yeah. And one thing that's really important is the moment that we actually admit to ourselves that, hey, I don't got a clue what's going on. Like, I don't have this figured out. That's when you're going to experience the most progress in your journey, is when you just embrace what is currently resonant with you. Like, when you embrace that and you truly like just be like, okay, I don't have this figured out. I'm done trying to intellectually navigate my way through this experience. I am just surrendering to the love that I am.
There is such magic in that frequency, that surrender frequency. I had the most profound moment of my life when I was in that surrender frequency. And it was in a moment where I realized that everything I knew potentially could all have just been false.
Yeah.
Like, everything could have all just been a total lie. And I was open to the fact of that, and I allowed all the emotions that came up with that unknowing and surrender to just simply be, while I continued to explore intellectually. And it created a absolutely transformative awakening experience where I was transported through a light tunnel and got to see the source of all of creation.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I saw like a little bit of that podcast. I didn't see like very much, completely everything that you discussed there, but there's no point in repeating any content here. We want some new stuff for everyone, but
it was significant. Yeah. Very significant. Very, very similar to your awakening experience. I'm so interested in people's awakening experiences. Whenever I have guests on, I ask them about if they had any sort of awakening experience in their life, because a lot of people do, and a lot of people want to share their experiences.
Yeah, that's something that's really important. Is I don't think a lot of people right now feel like they have the right people in their lives to actually have a conversation about their breakthroughs, and that's something that's really important. Like, I know for certain that that's something that I didn't have for a while, and it was quite an interesting experience, just having to constantly just be in my own energy and not really having anyone to talk about that stuff with. So people certainly want that.
Yeah, how incredible with the internet now, where we can connect with soul fam and all this knowledge, free knowledge, like the age of Aquarius, the age of free information.
Yeah.
It's just remarkable. Like, it's so cool, like the age I am, I was able to experience just a little bit of life without the internet. And then around middle school or so, you could dial into this connected thing, and it just blew my mind. I was online all the time, like a little computer hacker. I was just like, in it. I was like, this is world changing. I could feel it at a young age. And how
Yeah.
cool is it now with like Wikipedia and the ability to have these live calls? You're in Canada, I'm in the United States.
Yeah.
And there's people who are also watching this live. It's just the
Yeah.
amount of information that's flowing, the amount of knowledge that's flowing into all of our consciousness and brains is it just makes me so happy.
I know. It's, yeah. A lot of the time I find myself like I just can't stop smiling. Like my jaw hurts like a lot of the time because I just can't stop smiling.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. So what's next for you? What's next for Younification? I know you have a meditation going on tomorrow.
Mhm.
Significant date. It's Earth Day. It's also 422, which is a 4/4. Yeah. What's next for you?
Yeah, so for the past little while, I was trying to figure out like kind of things like what I could do on a personal level for business. Where I was doing ascension booklets for a little while, and I found it quite difficult to like because I've received some of them, but yeah, I found it quite difficult to like dedicate that time to doing that, which I'm going to finish the ones that I currently have. So if you're watching this and you've purchased a Ascension booklet, you're going to receive that in divine timing.
And it's like a physical booklet?
It'll be a digital file where like a PDF. And it's basically for anyone, I guess it doesn't matter too much now, but since we're talking about it, I'll explain it. It was essentially like people would ask a certain amount of questions based upon the booklet that they bought. And like it would be like personalized to them. Like it would be like a guidance kind of thing because I'm so like passionate about writing, but I essentially decided to do like video calls, like Zoom calls, and essentially like Instagram or by phone, where I'll do the same thing, but I'll be talking to you over voice rather than that physical or that digital booklet. But right now I am in the process of making a book, which is really exciting. It's
sweet.
Yeah.
What's it about?
That is on the way.
What's your book
I'm also
about?
like in the process of, as you have all seen, I'm very unfamiliar with it, but I just started like throwing myself into it lately, is making videos. So some of the channeled messages will be more high quality now, and they will be over video, which will be uploaded to YouTube as well as sometimes Instagram, like I've been promoting right now. So yeah, like my latest video didn't have voice on it, but and I know that's something that everyone would want because like it feels personal that way when you're receiving like that channel messages that is a voice. But I have found someone that is going to do that for me, that is willing to do that. Because I would do it myself, but essentially it's a lot of work. It's a lot that I have on my plate right now. So I'm trying to figure everything out. And it's really interesting that like we're all receiving these like these benefits, like where like I just got like $2,000 because like we're not working right now. So I'm basically being paid for being creative and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that's really interesting. And I'm hoping by the time that this is over that I can get a full income with Younification. So yeah, donations always help, like supporting me through essentially the Ascension guidance that is available now on my website. That stuff will allow me to do more with what I'm doing right now. So this is definitely like what the situation that we're in, where I'm receiving those checks. That's helping a lot, like absolutely incredible, because like rather than like I was in a nice job, I worked at like a vegan restaurant in my hometown in Halifax, and yeah, it was really nice. Just absolutely, I was so grateful to be there. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can make a full income by the time that this brush is over, because eventually we're going to need to, like, businesses are going to be needed to reopen. But at the same time, I don't believe that things are going to go back to the same as they were. absolute no way. Can't happen. It just won't happen.
Yeah, dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so essentially what's happening right now, from what I'm aware, the people that are receiving like these benefits, these checks, this is kind of like our government's being like, hey, I'm sorry for all the shit that we've caused, like for you, we're giving you free money. I seriously don't believe that like anyone they're going to come back and ask for this back or anything like that. Like, I don't think they're gonna try to screw us over. Because right now, essentially, if anyone doesn't know, Donald Trump is now the official chairman of the Federal Reserve, which the Federal Reserve was never actually federal before. This was essentially, it was governed by the elite, like the deep state, the cabal, whatever you want to call it. It's not in the hands of them anymore. Like the Federal Reserve is back in the hands of like the actual like Federal Reserve.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So that's going to help us get out of this like debt slave kind of experience like that we've all been thrown into. And so that's one thing that's going to never be the same, is like this is like a financial reset where likely we will have a universal currency that is more like everyone will have like a universal basic income where everyone will actually have like what they need. I would say that would be temporary, like in like the new earth like society from like away from now. I don't think that's the way that things are going to work. Like, I think everyone will be in that state where they're constantly contributing, and there's an abundance of resources for everyone to have. We don't need to work in the same way that we're doing. We're constantly being of service to others, because that's what we're working towards right now. Like the fourth density experience is completely service to others. I mean, there are people that may be service to self to quite a degree, but the service to self experience is very hard in a society of beings that is so loving, because what a service to self being would have to, you would essentially be around like, I don't know, 5% service to others and 95% service to yourself. But you would have to take that energy from other people in order to be fulfilled. That's what kind of service to self is. And that's really hard to experience when you're in fourth density, because of all the love and light that is just permeating through existence. So that's typically like where we are, like in like Earth is like a fourth density service to others experience. Like, this is what we've chose. So people that want that would likely, like, if they wanted like service to self, like which is fine. Like, people can choose that if you want. Like, there's no right or wrong. Like, the Law of One like makes this very clear that they're not in service to like the light or the darkness, or like service to self or service to others, like completely. Like they're completely open with the fact that it's okay to choose either. And you would get to a point in your soulful evolution where you hit sixth density and you can't go any further than that. Like, you would have to actually go back and repeat a third or fourth density experience, so that you can reopen yourself to that love, that heart center that you kind of skipped over before. And that's the only way that they would be able to progress, is they could go through their service to self experience through the densities. You would basically hit a wall where you can't progress any further, and you would have to choose to incarnate a third density or fourth density experience in order so that you can learn about that love.
So moral of the story is be service to others. It's more effortless and easy, and then you can continue beyond sixth density.
So you can be service to self, but it's just such a hard thing to maintain that most beings in the universe do choose service to others.
Yeah, it's like, who wants to be Genghis
being
Khan?
Service to others is being service to yourself.
Yeah, right, exactly. Interesting. So now's the time to be of service to others. And I like you're being of service to others by sharing information, by putting all of this out there. And we can actually, you can still make money and be of service to others, which I think is a beautiful circuit to create, and which a lot of like the light workers are very excited about, like coaching, for example. Are ways to be of service to others while also taking care of oneself so that you can live and have food and shelter and all that good stuff.
For a lot of people have like a negative connotation to money, like when you get into spirituality, like, oh, you can't be a spiritual millionaire, like that's not how this works, you can't do that. Why not? Like, why not have spiritual millionaires? Like, can you imagine if we had like an abundance of spiritual millionaires that was constantly being of service to others and providing services where we can help one another grow, and like that would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Imagine taking all of Jeff Bezos's wealth, or and just distributing it and making millions of conscious millionaires all around the planet, who would then that would just permeate society. Everyone's of service to others, so we're just spreading that out there and allowing other people to also make money and improve the lives of all. It's there's so much potential, and I'm just so happy that you're doing what you are doing. You are wise beyond your years, and I'm super stoked that we've connected and that we're friends now, and that we're officially in this together. I would love to interview you again, like maybe in a month or so, and kind of continue to check in, because these are exciting times. I mean, just yesterday, the price of a barrel of oil was below zero. It literally, the price of oil is below zero. It was like negative $38, which means, because people were buying oil based off of futures, which was basically like kind of investing, like, I'll buy it cheaper, sell it more expensive. But all this happened, people stopped driving, so nobody wants oil. So now they're literally paying people to get oil.
See, this is the thing. Like, free energy is coming. It is happening, right? Like it is already starting to happen. And you can look at this, like the same thing. I've never seen gas as so low as it is right now. It's like, what is it? I can't remember exactly what it is, but it dropped like half of what it was before.
And it's, Canada they turned off their oil drilling wells. Because it's not worth it. And gas it's going to go so much cheaper. They have these stockpiles. They literally don't have enough places to put all the oil. So they're paying people to, it's an unprecedented experience what's happening right now with just the energy and oil on this planet. And I am hearing kind of rumors and murmurs of this free energy, this new form of energy that's going to sprout when humanity's ready for it. And it feels like it could be soon.
So one thing that I mentioned on one of my recent posts is that 5G is going to be something that we use in the future. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's essentially the fact that we have not progressed in free energy. And because 5G has started to kind of make itself like available, like it's kind of like we all know about it. We're looking at all those dangers because this quantum 0 point energy technologies, essentially that's going to be something that is going to help us not be affected by these technologies. Like, this is something that is already being experimented with in secret space programs. Essentially, a lot of the technology that we have, like in those secret space programs, is because we've communicated with extraterrestrials that are far more advanced than we are. Like, if we knew about the technology that exists in the secret space programs alone, that like people of humanity are involved with, it is beyond what we can even conceive. Like, we would look at this stuff and we wouldn't even understand. And it's because it's like a lot of it is operated through consciousness. And a lot of technology in the future is going to be both biological like it will be like both organic and like technological at the same time. Like a lot of ships, a lot of spacecraft that exists is both organic and technological. And that's the way that this has been able to, like throughout our universe, that's the way that this stuff has been able to advance so much. And yeah, if we were available, if we had this available to humankind, like it would just like, it would cause a shit show right now. Like we like, there's no way that all this, like it has to be a very slow process. Like they're a little bit concerned about like disclosing this stuff to humanity because it's just so far beyond like advanced that we can even conceive of right now. And a lot of things, like something that's really good to be aware of is the technology that we do have available to us is alien technology. Like this is not stuff that we humans came up with. Like we were gifted this. And I think a lot of you are familiar with like the Roswell crash. And that's where a lot of this happened, where we started reverse engineering this technology, which is basically taking the technology, like taking a little piece of the technology and people like scientists like taking it apart, and like engineers like taking it apart and analyzing it to figure out how it works. So that's how we've essentially figured out how to have like the phones that we have, like the phone that I'm using like with this is absolutely incredible, like the iPhone Pro 11 Pro. I think you mentioned you have it as well. Holy crap, it's the first phone that I've ever had that I've never had a single issue with. Every other phone that I've had before this like has been like just like several problems that were like quite annoying, and like the capabilities of this thing is just insane. Like it's like I have an actual like professional, like true professional camera just right in my phone. It's like what?
Yeah.
Like how?
I know, it's remarkable. It's flawless. Yeah. Absolutely flawless. And how cool is it that I just flashed back to you describing the government, Canadian government in your case is sending you money. Essentially, they're helping fund a project that is putting out higher consciousness.
Yes.
And they're doing that on a mass scale, which is fantastic.
Yeah. This is why we're in such a unprecedented time, is like, holy crap, like this like free money that is going like to everyone right now. Like, and we don't like, none of us really have to work. Like some of us, like obviously, depending on your job, you have to work at home. Like you're still based upon the benefits that you have with your work. Like you, like some, like a lot of businesses, of course, are still running. The business that I was with was a food establishment that had to be shut down. So I'm not associated with that right now. I was released from it. I could go back to it once this is like, if they reopen. I could choose to do that, but I'm hoping that this is my opportunity to become self-employed right now.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it 100% will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem like you're on a fantastic path.
Yeah.
And so you said you do sessions as well for people where you channel for people.
Yeah, it'll be kind of like downloads that I receive like in the moment based upon what they're telling me. Like
Cool.
like I said, I was like when I do channeling, it's through writing, which is why I would be able to be, I felt like I would be more capable doing the Ascension booklets. But now I'm just kind of throwing myself into the unknown. Like I want to be, like, I know that this is really the only way that I can make this happen is through, I mean, look at this technology. Like, look at the capabilities that we have right now. I'm talking to you. You're in US. I'm in Canada. Like, yeah. Like, there's no way that I shouldn't. And sure, it's a little bit intimidating because it's something that I've never done before. But hey, like, I just gotta embrace it.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel as though there's a bunch of people who are tuned in and who will in the future be tuning in, who are going to see you and think, yeah, I would love to have a channeled session or a written channeled session. And so, you know, for those people, I will include all of your information, all your links, everything in the show notes on YouTube, et cetera, to reach out to you, because I just want people to know that as they, you know, get these sessions, or if they just want to donate money to you, like, it's going to a very good cause, and you're spreading such great information that I want to help you succeed and just like, channel people your direction.
Yeah. So like in the future, essentially what I want is I will likely have like a team where we're all able to like produce content. Because like right now, like it's very hard doing this on my own. Like everything you see that I have is completely done by me, like everything. Besides the artwork and stuff that I use, that I make that clear, like in the posts that I make and stuff like that. And yeah, it's like the visionary artists that I use are absolutely incredible. Like I think that stuff is really mind expanding as well, because it encourages people like, hey, like I want to have an experience like that where I can see these visions. And like art is something where we're expressing ourselves in a way that we've never done this before. Like we've never like people are tapping into their dream states and like remembering that, and like they're having these visions and like creating this galactic art and like whatnot. It's like so incredible.
Yeah, a lot of your stuff I'll read or listen to and just get my own downloads as I'm listening to or reading from them.
Yeah, that's
Very
something
potent.
that's really important to me is the content that you see. You may not totally understand it if you're looking for information that's going to tell you what to do. Like there will be things that like I make suggestions and stuff like that, but the information I present is more about the multidimensional existence of reality, right? So then you can take that information and do what you want with it. Like I will, like I said, I will make suggestions like at times, like during my posts, but it's very important to me to not like tell people like what they should and shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, because everyone's got their own path. Everyone's got their own thing that their own karma that they're working out. And
yeah,
their own free will.
Like I had a conversation with someone in my messages this morning where they essentially said that they saw on a page that Archangel Michael was fake, and like it was like created by negative entities to like essentially like it's basically an illusion is what like this page was saying. And like this person was very emotional about that, and that because like she felt very like it was very helpful to her. And yeah, she wanted to ask me about that, and I told her, I was like, hey, like that person can believe, like that's their reality. Like there's no reason why they should be infringing that upon you. If like I'm not going to be the one that says this like entity does or doesn't exist. Like if this was like a thought, like if this was a thought form that was created in someone's imagination, I guarantee it exists. We wouldn't be able to imagine the things that we do if it didn't exist somewhere, because we are pure consciousness. And that's what we're doing right now, is we're remembering that we are not our bodies, we are not our minds, we're not even our spirits, frankly. Like we are pure love light consciousness. Like that's what we are. Like our imagination is like what we are. We're pure thought.
Yep. I have no doubt that angels and archangels exist just as much as we do.
Yeah.
Just as much as this conversation is happening, they do as well. And how beautiful that she was given that experience to be able to doubt her beliefs.
Yeah.
Like because she doubted herself when she read an Instagram post, it goes to show that there were aspects of her beliefs that weren't solid. And now she gets to look at those. And that's where she's going to become even more solid and even more stable in her own believing and connection to those different beings of light.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brandon, where can people find you online?
So like the Instagram is like the most common thing that I do at Younification, spelled YOU, and then Younification. So yeah, that's the most common thing that I use right now. There's also my website, which is younification.ca. I do have Facebook as well, but that is basically all stuff that is automatically posted from my Instagram. It's a very small community. It's only around like 300 people. And then there's also there's like a private group like on Facebook as well, like of about like 90 people, where like you're able to like share posts and whatnot and like have conversations and stuff like that.
Nice.
That was only just encouraged by someone for me to do. I was like, hey, yeah, I totally should actually make a Facebook group. So yeah, there's those three things, and that's pretty much it as of right now.
And the
So
Facebook
yeah,
group, is that, how can people hop on the Facebook group?
so if you search up like at unification.ca, it'll that's the link to the Facebook to the Facebook page. And then on that page, you'll be able to see that like it'll say like groups by this page, and it'll say unification, and then you can join that group as well.
Nice. And are you on YouTube?
I am on YouTube. So yeah, that's literally just like unification that you can look up. And
Cool. And
yeah, so I think you will also link that in the, because it's a because it's not like a well-known channel, it may not come up like right away. I feel like it will, because unification isn't something that is going to be searched up in the search bar very often. So yeah, it should come up. So yeah, like all those will be linked like in the bottom of this video.
Yeah, sweet. And then yeah, just before we head off, and this has been a really awesome conversation, and I definitely want to do this more often. You just have a great energy, and yeah, there's some really good synergy here. Definitely feel a soul fam vibe going on.
Yeah.
Do you have any resources or any books you're reading, or places or YouTube channels that you recommend to people?
Yeah. So an author named Barbara Marciniak is someone that channels the Pleiadians, and she has 4 books. The first one is called Bringers of the Dawn.
Brilliant.
The second one is called Earth. The third is called Family of Light, and the fourth is called Path of Empowerment. And those 4 books are absolutely incredible. What we've discussed, like with the Law of One, like the raw material, that is something I also very much recommend. These are 2 book series that can be like, the Pleiadian energies are very much more creative. They're like creative storytellers. They very much understand the nature of multidimensional existence. So they're going to essentially help you break down those like 3D like paradigms, and like tell you about how how 3D reality works and the purpose of it. And then they will actually also like help you integrate like 4D, like multidimensional living. So yeah, the Pleiadians are probably one of the most influential, like in my personal experience right now.
Yeah. The Bringers of the Dawn, just to add to that, is I learned about the Pleiadian, how they do relationships over in the Pleiades, and it's affected my own personal relationships here in terms of how they describe it, in which, you know, it's all with love. There's no like breakup or any of that old paradigm stuff. It's basically like if a relationship's coming to an end, it's mutually felt on both sides, and like a loving embrace. They say, okay, it's time to go and explore other worlds, and it's just known that it's for each other's highest good. And how they do relationships, whether it's monogamous or whether it's in groups, it's all very conscious, and just a really beautiful perspective on relationships.
Interesting. So where did you learn about this from?
It was a Pleiadian channeling. I don't know if it was in Bringer of the Dawn or if it was something similar or related to it, but yeah, it was yeah, I could find it and post it and share it with you as well. But it was, yeah, it just totally changed my perspective. When friends come to me with relationship advice, I'm like, well, here's how the Pleiadians do it. You know, like, and it helps.
They're very passionate about sexual energy, and the way that it essentially is a very important part in like self-empowerment and ascension, and just all of this, what's going on right now. It's a very important aspect of our existence, and learning about our sexual energy and like how to use it in a more conscious way.
Yeah, sexual energy is so powerful.
Totally is.
Such a powerful energy. I'll be having a few sexual coaches on here soon. Conscious sexual coaches, to talk about how to channel sexual energy and use it for creation and relationships.
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I'm excited to see where your stuff goes and the people that you connect with. And yeah,
thank you.
Deep Shift is going to be something that's like, yeah, I can already see it. Yeah, this is awesome what you've got going on.
Thanks, man. And I'm always looking for new guests. So feel free to introduce me to anyone you come across.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Brandon, is there anything else you want to share just before we head out?
Yeah. I don't know. I think we've got like pretty much everything covered. We've discussed about some of my future ambitions with unification is going on, and like what I'm working on right now. And yeah, got all the links in the expressed in this video and also in the description. And yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. So go donate to Brandon just because he's awesome, and support the cause. Book a session. I'm guessing you have a book a session link in your Instagram link tree. So yeah, go book a session, support Brandon because he's awesome. And yeah, I appreciate you, brother. It's such a great time having a conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, like so much gratitude. Like again, I can't stop smiling. My jaw like hurts right now, but hey, it's
love it. Soul family reunion. Here we are.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, till next time. I'll see you next time on the ground.
Yeah, we definitely will be doing this again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, to a bright future.
And anytime you want to also go live with me on Instagram, we definitely got to do that as well. Just tune in, everyone. Just answer some questions from both of our perspectives on everything. And yeah,
that sounds fun.
Yeah,
totally down. Yeah. All right, literally, as we're ending this convo, I see people walking by with masks on just to show the age that we live in, this time we live in right now. Fascinating.
So interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, thanks for being you. Thanks for being a guide for people in this time.
Yeah, thank you for doing what you're doing. Your stuff is going to expand a lot of people's minds. So many things that you can talk about with people. Just there's like you said, this age of information is absolutely incredible.
So good. I'm here to help people awaken.
Yeah.
Well, much love, and we'll chat soon,
brother. Yeah. Till next time. Take care. You as well.
All right, we are at the end of another amazing episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was just wow. Thank you, Brandon, for that enlightening conversation. Check out his stuff. Everything's in the show notes. If you are listening to this podcast in your favorite podcasting app, please leave it 5 stars. That would mean the world to me. It would also mean that it would appear higher in search results so more people could see it. And all about awakening, spreading good information, good knowledge. If you're on YouTube right now, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon if you want to get notified when new episodes of Deep Shift are released. That is it for now. I will see you guys next time on the next episode of Deep Shift. Much, much love.